This is Bo back in the lounge. Want to do a shout out to the 1.5 million listeners we have all over this planet and the military bases that support us. You all in Afghanistan, thank you so much for sending texts and showing support for the college football programs we have on the show. And right now we're going to go out to Mercyhurst College, talk a little coach wrestling with Mike Wehler. Coach, thank you.
No problem. It's good to be back.
Absolutely, Coach. You know, at your program, you probably wear several hats, and you've got a lot going on with freshmen getting acquainted.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the year, so you got to make sure their classes are in line, they're everywhere they need to be, and just making that adjustment away from home for the first time. So there's a lot of different things you encounter, but it's all good watching them grow up and start to mature.
Yeah, I was one of those guys that doesn't support hazing, but I tell you right now, when I was a senior, I definitely had fun with the freshmen, misdirecting them, telling them where not to go. Oh, yeah, the coach's nickname is this. Go ahead and call him this. I had a lot of fun with the freshmen. I'm sure the seniors and juniors are really looking to see what they can do for these young guys showing up for your program.
I'm sure they'll pull a couple pranks. Actually, it's been pretty light so far, but I'm sure you'll see a couple funny pranks getting pulled. Some morning practices that aren't really occurring, and that was one that got pulled on me in school. Everybody had to meet at the track at 6 o'clock, and all the freshmen were up there wondering where all the coaches and all the older guys were.
Yeah. Our famous one was when they were asking where to go for a particular campus, and I went to a very small D3 school, and we perpetually would send them across the railroad tracks into a fictitious area, and it's amazing how they would actually show up, come back, and say, "There's no building there." And you're like, there was no you could clearly see it with your eyes, but somehow they thought it was hidden when you sent them over there. It's kind of fun. Coach, you've got a lot of success coming out of your program. You've got a lot of new faces showing up. You've got some leadership. Before we break down the underclassmen, who are those guys that have pretty much steadied the course during the summer? They're showing up in tip-top shape that look like they're going to really capitalize on this upcoming season.
Top two are Josh Shields and Andy Lamacusa. Josh was our first national champion last year as a sophomore. And then Andy's heading into his senior year. He took third in the nation last year. So those two are really setting the tone and came back looking real good and have set the pace so far in preseason conditioning.
You know, what's really important about wrestling is that you can never say enough about conditioning. It's one of the most conditioned sports, I say, if not the most conditioned sport next to soccer. You have to run 40 minutes, but you actually can slow down and take a breath. In wrestling, you've got 6 minutes to make your statement, and you need to shoot hard. What are some of the changes you've seen over the last couple of years as the students showing up for practices?
I think kids are just coming in. Strength and conditioning is taking a bigger role. Kids are getting exposed to it now at an earlier age. Used to be in college they got exposed to it. Now these guys are going to strength and conditioning coaches and facilities and gyms earlier in their high school careers. So kids are coming in, I think, stronger and a little more well-prepared.
Coach, you're still reasonably young. How much opportunity do you have to get on the mat and demonstrate that you are a coach for a reason?
I'm getting to that point where it's slowing down quite a bit. It's not what it's leaving quicker than I wish it was. But the key is, you know, if you're not going to be able to do it, then to get some people in. We have some young assistants that come in and do a great job with rolling around with our guys.
You know what's impressive, too, as well, is that the young guys that are coming in to support your program and assistants or actually just volunteer to help, there's numerous coaches across the country that are now involved in MMA and really demonstrating how successful you can be in a professional sport. Before, obviously, we spoke about this. There's football and basketball for everything else, but for wrestling, you sort of had the coaching ranks or the professional wrestling route. And it's nice to see that a lot of WEC guys are coming up through the college ranks, as well as UFC stars. We've had numerous coaches from D2 and D1 that have really talked about some of their big stars that really put it through great grades and were All-Americans, are now on the national level. When you have young coaches out there, I mean, it's got to be pretty cool to look across the board and show up at these tournaments and walk up and realize you just saw this guy on TV at the WEC.
Oh, no question. And you got a lot more wrestlers coming onto the surface into the UFC through various avenues. You know, you just saw Josh Koscheck win his fight on Saturday, and then Gray Maynard's made quite an impact so far. These are some younger guys, and then Shane Carwin wrestled for Western State, I believe. And
amen.
He'll be fighting Lesnar in the next heavyweight one.
Yeah, I heard good things about Shane. We talked to Van He, and we're going to try to get Carwin on the show and talk about his college experience, his national championships, and find out what he's doing. Because Shane, from from all looks, 11-0. He's 11-0 for a reason.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. And I actually talked to Miles a little bit at the coaches convention about him, and he just seems like a great guy too. So you hope for nothing but positive for him.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the coaches meeting, you guys travel in the worst part of the season, in the worst temperatures, the worst extremities, and they send you to Fort Lauderdale. Thank God there was no hurricane, but in the peak of hurricane season. Did you have a good time down there?
I really did. I thought it was great to be together with all the coaches. The weather was great. The venue was really good. It's nice to be around all those other coaches in an environment that doesn't have competition in it, because you can sit down and talk to them and bounce different things off of them that worked for one and didn't work, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and one of the big items that we're going to talk about here is the same item we've been talking about for the last couple months after Tom Borelli came back and shared some stories with us, is the possible changes in some of the programs and some of how wrestling does their NCAA March Madness. And as far as moving dates, I was originally in support of possibly moving the dates only if it was going to interfere with the whole wrestling program. And it looks like there's a lot of dissent as far as the movement goes now.
I think it depends on what division you're in, too. If you look at, they wanted to put all three divisions starting in late December, and you have a lot of Division II, and I don't want to say the majority of Division III, but a lot of Division III coaches that, they coach two sports, so that, or else they have, other assignments aside from being wrestling coaches, so it really messes with their own job description. So there's definitely some issues that need worked out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues that I have is that right now the sport, the March Madness event is huge. It's a very, very visible sport. ESPN has done a nice job as covering it. They do a really good job with the camera angles. The commentators don't seem like meatheads. Some of them do, but generally across the board, they do a good job of representing the sport. I personally would have to agree with Flow Wrestling on this one matter, is before they make the official move, they really need to get the NCAA to spend more money in supporting wrestling and do a better job of getting the media to follow the sport before they make that move. Because if they don't follow it, I think it's going to wind up like arena football, where you move the date and it's going to jeopardize so much more than what was originally thought.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work out, but it would definitely be nice to see more coverage throughout the year. I know Big Ten Network. You hear a lot of people talking about watching different dual meets on that throughout the season. I mean, the more you show, the more people that watch. So you're gonna hold interest if you start showing things from the beginning to the end.
Absolutely, Coach.
Culminating event.
Absolutely. I think if you're able to broadcast some out, not just on the Big Ten Network, but have some of these cable stations start promoting and videotaping. One of the things is because of the fact of cost prohibited for someone to videotape, because those matches are long. I mean, for people who like wrestling, they can sit back and watch it. They're going to have to do something to change up and really move the camera forward and follow maybe the top athletes. But I think it's all doable in this day and age of media.
Yeah, again, I mean, your wrestling fans are going to, they like the purist of it. They're going to sit down and watch the entire dual meet. But I think it's like anything else. How you promote it's going to be the result of it. I mean, if you promote two top teams and give a little background information before the dual meet starts, then you can generate some interest rather quickly.
Absolutely. Coach, before we let you go, two things. One is, who are those underclassmen now that are coming to the program, and so far on the mat in practice, they are looking good?
We have a couple here. Michael Baxter will be a sophomore. He was a match away from going to nationals at 133. He's had a great summer, and hopefully he can make that turn. And then we have another young man, Jordan Shields, who is a younger brother of Josh, who is our national champ. He'll be a freshman, and he's come back just in unbelievable shape, and he's a really talented kid. So those two, I think, will be the big impact guys from our younger group.
Awesome. Coach, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We're going to ask if we give you a call in another month as you get ready to really kick off the season.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike Wehler from Mercyhurst College. We are now off the air. 1 second, Coach.